Hi guys, and today I'm going to do a tag video, and I'm going to do the mid-year book freakout tag. So far this year I've read 78 books, which I read I think about that many like 2 years ago and less than that last year. So at this point I've like surpassed what I read the other years, which is pretty crazy. But I've read a lot of not very hard reads. I've read a lot of chick lit this year, so that's maybe part of the reason for it. But it's been a fun year. I've read a lot of cool books. And yeah, let's get started with the tag, because it's a longer one. What is your favorite book of the year so far? And this one definitely has to go to The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I thought it was going to be The Nightingale because it was like everybody's favorite last year, and I read that one as well this year, but I absolutely love The Great Alone. So if you liked The Nightingale, you should definitely check out The Great Alone. I absolutely loved it, and it is like a harrowing story about a girl and her family. Her father has PTSD from Vietnam, and he kind of goes through a lot of dark things, and he battles with alcoholism. So her and her mom are kind of these like warriors behind him, trying to keep him up, trying to keep him happy, trying to keep him from being angry or abusive or mean. And they end up in Alaska with him because he gets provided with this free land from a buddy of his from Vietnam. And it's really, really hard where they move, and it's very struggling, and it's very dark in the winter. So there are a lot of problems, there are a lot of struggles. But it's a really, really good book. I absolutely loved it. That's why it was my favorite book of the year so far. And I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out to be my favorite of the whole year. But we'll see. We'll see what comes for the rest of 6 months. I hope I read more good books, but we'll see. The best sequel I read was this one right here, Us Against You, by Frederick Bachman. I had read Beartown, and Us Against You was done phenomenally. It wasn't what I expected it to be. It was still a continuation of Beartown and all the problems that went on in Beartown. And Beartown was a book that was centered around a rape and this town propped up by a hockey team. But then Us Against You is that same hockey team and what happens afterwards, and how some people move on and some people don't, and just changes in their lives, but also how incredibly complicated and interwoven a lot of the relationships are in the story. There were some mean people in the story that I still love. I thought it was such a fun story. He's such a good writer. It was amazing. So definitely the best sequel I read this year. The next one is a new release that you haven't read that you want to. There's quite a few of these. So the first one is Sherwood. I've honestly read about half of this book, and I had to return it back to the library. So Sherwood by Megan Spooner. And it is a retelling, it is a retelling of Robin Hood, but it's after Robin Hood dies and Maid Marian takes on his job. That's the main point of the story. The second one is With Fire on High, which I really wanted to read. This is about a girl who is, I think, a young mom, and she's takes a cooking class, and it really inspires her and talks about a lot of food, but it has a lot of good reviews, so I really want to read it as well. I also want to read Royals because it's gotten a lot of good reviews this year. I also want to read Blood Witch because I am 3/4 of the way through Blood Witch, and once again I had to return it back to the library, so I'm just waiting for it to come back around. It is the third in a series of Truth Witch and Sight Witch, which I really, really loved and I had read last year. So yeah, that was a new release I want to get to. Oh, and Wicked Saints, because everybody keeps talking about it. I just keep forgetting to put it on my list to check it out. So yeah, all those books I still want to read. So yeah, there's still quite a bit of a backlog there. Okay, so the next question is books that haven't been released yet. I don't have as many of these because typically I look like the month before of what's coming up and what I want to read, and something maybe new exciting is coming out. The only ones I really know of is the Margaret Atwood one, The Testament. I think it's the second in, because she had put out the other book a long time ago, The Handmaid's Tale, but it's the second in that one because obviously they made a second series, and she ran right ahead and wrote a second book. The other one is, I have a few of them written down here. The Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I absolutely love Leigh Bardugo. It's a brand new series for her. I have no idea what it's about, but I know it's coming out this year. And then the last book is The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. It is the third, maybe the final, I'm not sure, in the series. The other one just released this year, and I read it, and it was really good. It was the second one Wicked King released. But yeah, it's the last in the series of the Fae books in the Fae world, and it's like a human that lives in a Fae world, and she just got booted from the Fae world at the end of the last series. So that's exciting. It's coming out in November. Biggest disappointment. Oh, that's kind of sad. Every book I don't like is a little bit of a disappointment. But honestly, my probably biggest disappointment is, what did I write down? The Gilded Wolves by Rasheen Chatsky, just because I heard about it a lot at the end of last year. People who had gotten it arc, and then when it was released, I heard about it a lot, and then I heard some not good reviews, and I was one of those people that just didn't get along with it, didn't like it, didn't know where it was going, had to stop listening to it. Just, I finished it, and I still don't know what happened in the story. So it was such a disappointment, but it was a beautiful cover, and it had all the elements. I think I said this in my review. It had like every single element of fantasy you want, like new fantasy and a fresh take and new characters and it was in a new area and everything. It didn't come all together for me. So for a lot of other people it did, so just not for me. Biggest surprise, probably, I don't know, maybe The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, because I kicked off the year reading Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, and I didn't like it, and I had read something else by them like halfway through and didn't like it, so I was like, maybe I just don't get along with these two authors. And then I read The Unhoneymooners and I loved it, and so then I went on and read Roomies and I loved it too. So probably those two were the biggest surprise. Not too big of a surprise, but because I really am into chick lit this year and romance books, but yeah, I liked them, and the beautiful, beautiful cover. Okay, newest favorite author goes definitely hands down to Kristen Hanna. As soon as I read The Great Alone, I was like, oh man, I could read anything you write. And then The Nightingale was wonderful as well, like amazingly well done. So yeah, definitely Kristen Hanna. Newest fictional crush. I didn't really have any this year, even though I read a lot of chick lit. None of the guys were like up to par, I guess. But if I was a 16-year-old girl, I'd definitely probably go with Superman by Matt De La Pena. Probably Superman. I like Superman, but he's really young, so for me it's kind of like, meh, yeah. Newest favorite character, probably, I really did, since The Great Alone was my favorite book, I really did like Matthew, and he is the romantic lead in the book. I really liked his character and how his character turned out and everything, and oh, he was just such like a sweetheart, like a huggable bear. And then I also really liked Angie Thomas's On the Come Up Bree. She was quite a surprise, sometimes cringeworthy of a character, but so adolescent and teen in all its lovely ways. I absolutely loved Bree. She was a complicated character. I was surprised by On the Come Up. I ended up liking it more than The Hate You Give, which is a surprise. But yeah, probably Bree as well. I really liked her. Books that made you cry. Definitely Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read, I think, all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's her books now, and that was one of my favorites, but just made me bawl. I like called my sister and I was like, you have to read this, and she like cried, or didn't cry as much, but I like cried the whole way through. I sat down and read it in one setting and was like, Book that made you smile, probably Superman by Matt De La Pena. It was just a happy, and I knew what Superman was going to be into, because Wonder Woman I started the year with, probably that one as well. That one made me so happy. Like while reading it, when you're smiling, it's so good. Wonder Woman and Superman, the DC comic series. Both of those. Beautiful books you bought. Or were given. So I saw these at, what was it? Half Price Bookstore. They had them, and they were so beautiful. And Great Gatsby is like my favorite book of all time, probably. And this is the most pretty copy I've ever seen of it. It's like metallic, if you can see, and it's got metallic edging. The only thing about these ones, I wish, and it's got like that glossy paper, is they don't smell that great. Not like, you know, the nice paper. And they don't have ribbons in them. These kind of books should have a ribbon in them. That's the only other thing. But the other ones I got are just as beautiful. Of course, I got Pride and Prejudice. And it's silver, and it's beautiful, and it's got like purples and blues and pinks. And then I also got Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. This one's completely different. I absolutely love it. I love the flowers on it. This one's gold. And then the last one I got was Great Expectations. This was like my favorite read when I was a child. Was Great Expectations. So I have a beautiful copy of it now. I think this might be my only copy of Great Expectations. That might be my only copy of Great Gatsby. I probably will get rid of my other copy. But yeah, this was my favorite read as a child. It's silver. Absolutely love this read. I want to reread this sometime soon. because yeah, it's been quite a long time since we visited Miss Haversham. But yeah, these are beautiful, just classic editions that I picked up this year. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? The only two on my like must read list are these two. Because this was such a big book last year, Educated by Tara Westover. I really want to get to it, and it's been on my TBR forever. So is this one, First Killed My Father. So yeah, these two nonfiction pieces, really. I mean, there's a ton of books on my TBR that I want to get to. But for this year, these are my like, yes, I definitely want to get to them. But I think that is the last question. That was question number 10. So yeah, hope you guys liked my book, yearbook freakout tag. It was a lot of fun doing it, and I will see you guys in the next one. See you guys next time. Bye.